So for the first game today, we are playing as Empire, going up against the mighty Greenskins, a faction that we have not seen too much since the update, probably due to some pretty heavy nerfs to their starting money, just increasing the prices of many common greenskin units that you would see. So I'm interested to see how this goes, but they will be more or less the same, just with a little bit with less funds. For our build, we have war wagons who will be skirmishing, and a bunch of knights. Keep them safe. This is sort of it's almost like an Empire kite-ish build, and we want to be avoiding fights as much as possible. That is just so that we can cycle charge as much as possible. And yeah, basically that. And to use up as much all of our ammunition on the war wagons. For the greenskins, we can see they have an army of 1,100, almost twice our army size, which is pretty scary. I think our cavalry should probably win out though, if their army is that big. So that's a plus. Hello, Dr. Y. Cool, and we are getting into the game. So we'll start battle and take stock of the greenskin army. We can see there are forest spider riders, orc boar boys, the works, skirmishers, and actually some rock lobbers. So in response to that, I think we need to make sure that our cavalry stays safe. We will be moving them along. Let's see, a Vindictive Glare actually goes on my Jade Wizard, which I think is a slight misplace since foot characters do not take that much damage from Vindictive Glare. So my Jade Wizard will be able to continue on his merry way just fine. Have our cavalry stealthed now, which means that there aren't too many targets for the greenskin forces to actually shoot at with the rock lobbers. You can see they're turning now, maybe choosing to fire on my war wagons, maybe? I'm not sure. Oh, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure. So we're just going to continue on the flanks to make it hard for these rock lobbers to actually get their hits in. And we will begin cycle charging. Our opponent has their cavalry too far behind to actually defend from cycle charges. And you can see there, we actually get punished because we didn't notice Wurzag with his snare at the ready. Now we can still throw down the heal on top of our Demogryph Knights. And we can also buff up their combat stats here. So a nice counter charge comes in, and we're actually able to rout off those boar boys. So that's nice. We did take a lot of damage on our cavalry though, and our opponent is pushing us back on the right flank. We'll have to pull back there. We can move in our spears to support though. And as long as we don't have our Demogryph Knights shattered, then we could be okay. We also want these war wagons to be brought up. They can take out those spider rider archers. And our cavalry continue cycle charging. It's a little bit dangerous to get stuck in with the cavalry, but we have our spears screening for this cycle charge. And it should do a lot of damage. Nice. Let's see, there's some big guns here that we want to chase off next. And we definitely don't want to get hit by fanatics. So we'll pull away there. Get these spears. Defend our war wagons. And I think we're going to set up a nice charge into a big heal. See, those big guns are causing some problems. As long as we don't get hit by too many archers, I think we're okay. So there we go. This is a nice heal. We're able to take care of those goblins, and now I really want to get into that back line. Could be risky since let's see, well, first of all, let's pull my archers back. And yeah, this could be risky since we are getting collapsed in on by big guns. And yeah, you know what? I think this is a bad idea. Let's see. Okay. So we'll see if we can pull them out, but it's looking like a really rough situation there. And we're gonna have to try to recover. We have some knights on the fringes who will do just fine, and Franz can also escape without too much trouble. So he's going to be staying safe, keeping away from those goblin big bosses. And we're gonna have to salvage what knights we have left, which is really just the one unit of knights, which is definitely not a situation we want to be in. So let's see, Franz is now getting caught up too. We can throw down a heal on top of him. But what we really want to do, probably to goon out these green skin heroes. And to do that, we really need Franz alive. But with snares coming down on Wurzag, that might not be possible. Let's see, Franz does manage to take off, a miracle for us. But we're looking to start to be falling behind at this point. We've been getting outgunned the whole game since our war wagons aren't big damage dealers. And unless Franz can start getting some big kills here, I would say this is a likely game. The war wagons, you can shoot the boar boys. Franz, you can continue trying to escape, but he takes a lot of damage there, and I think I'll call this game. GG. So, I think definitely misplayed with our cavalry there. They took a lot of damage from the archers. Maybe the rock lobbers too, so let's just check there. Oh wow, yeah, the rock lobbers actually got a lot of value. Meanwhile, my war wagons, close to nothing, and we lost our knights really early. So I think build-wise and control-wise, we did pretty badly. But I think we can fix it up for the next Empire game. But anyways, for this, onto the game, we are playing Vampire Coast against Wood Elves. We're trying to rush them. And to do so, we've brought some Deck Gunner on bats. We brought 3 Scurvy Dogs, Death Guard Polearms for the new Wood Elf Armored Troops, Noctilus for summons, Gunnery White for ammo, and a bunch of mobility to catch them out. So that's Sirens and some Fellbats. Our opponent is Sarmatian, a tournament player that we see pretty often. And they have brought a Glade Lord with Prey of Anathrema, very interesting, along with a mix of infantry and a pretty heavy focus on Glade Guard. Interesting build for sure. And we're going to need to shut down those Glade Guard, probably with our Scurvy Dogs, who we will be splitting up. And yeah, hopefully getting them to move away from us. We'll have to be especially careful with our Sirens to make sure that they don't take too much damage on the advance. And then they will just have to try and reach these guys. Glade Lord is on their mount, so they could cause some problems for our actual for our gun bats here. But let's just see how well they do. In fact, the Glade Lord is sort of out of position right now, and we're gonna have to see if we can catch them out. Let's see, our Scurvy Dogs are moving in towards them. Our handguns have actually done a pretty good amount of damage already. And now is the time we begin to advance. There are some Glade Rider spears here. could be a bit of an issue. And our dogs are getting shot now. But is that a problem? Not really, since we can dodge with them. And now at this point, we've actually been able to surround the Lord. So we'll just shoot them to death. Let's even get some summons going. And we just gotta dodge with our sirens to make sure that they don't take too much damage. Let's see, some Dryads are coming down. And we do lose one of our scurvy dogs, but this is a rush style build. We are okay taking losses there as long as we leave maybe 1 or 2 dog units alive. Some Glade Guard are now charging in, but we have our actual fighters coming in now, and they should be able to beat the Glade Guard. The Glade Lord will continue to be chased off by our bats, so they will go there, and we can actually use our dogs to kill the branch wraith now. I think Noctilus's Wraith Storm will also do us good here. So we'll send that in. And we have Glade Guard actually charging our sirens, which is convenient for us because that is a fight that they want to take. Now, let's see, there's a little bit of lag going down. I'm not sure where it's coming from. But we should be okay. The problem is that these Glade Guard are still firing. And our dogs are taking a bit of damage. So let's pull them back. What's it? And let's use them to peel for our sirens who've been getting shot up by these Glade Guard for a good majority of the time. So there we go. We catch out some Hagbane tips. We'll use our zombies to pin these guys down. And I think I'm going to give ammunition to my deck droppers to buff up their damage. Let's see, now they can begin shooting the Glade Guard. And we can continue our slow advance. So right now things are looking a little bit tricky. My dogs are getting pretty low on HP. And my sirens are taking a lot of damage too. We will hopefully have a Overcast and a Heck in just a second. So we're gonna be grouping up our sirens and our dogs in preparation for that. See, some more another charge comes in on my dogs, which does a lot of damage, and my Mourngulls have actually taken quite a beating off of a charge from Glade Riders, which is something that you don't really expect, since Glade Riders are so much cheaper than Mourngulls, but they have anti-large. They do a lot of damage on the charge, and it could cause some problems. Now, our opponent does have very little armor piercing damage, which is it's good for us. It means that this Mourngull, this Gunnery Wight, will be able to stay in the fight for longer. But we didn't bring a Rotting Leviathan, which is really what hurts the most here. So my Depth Guard are all the way over there, so a pretty big misplay from me. And we're also continuing to lose our dogs and sirens. We're still 2 Winds of Magic away from using our heal. And without it, it means that we're losing a lot of our mobility. 1 more Winds of Magic left, and it's gonna come down to if we can get that heal off. But we're letting our opponent shoot us for a really long time here, which is it's making me very uncomfortable. But there we go, we finally get our heal, but can we get it in on time? Let's see. It goes down, thank goodness for that. And hopefully these guys will live. They can now move over to begin flanking the Wood Elf forces. Our Night Terrors are also using their terror chase off some of these guys, which helps a lot. But this is looking bad. We only have 1 unit of dogs left, and 2 very battered sirens. This choke point didn't really help me either. So it's not looking good. Not looking good. This Waystalker too actually manages to come back. Good on him. And man, I really wish I had I brought double Leviathan here. But I think our opponent had a good read, or decided to take the risk in taking so few AP units. Unless there's maybe some hidden Way Watchers in the distance. We may never know. The Noctilus going to stay in the fight. He will he'll do okay. But our Sirens at this point will surely die. It's too bad for them. See, they get a nice engage on the Glade Riders, which helps out. But I can tell this game is basically over. So we'll concede. And yeah. Yeah, I think we made some pretty big misplays there again. So I'm also... our deck gunners did okay, but I really want more mobility to catch out these range units. Scurvy dogs will only carry you so far. And I think I'd probably change up this build quite a bit for next time. Probably cut the bats, cut the gunnery white, take a single Leviathan. And then maybe a few more Sirens to beat the cavalry. So we're loaded up into the game. We're playing as Empire against Wood Elves. And we brought a pretty heavy amount of range units, with some cavalry support in case we need to dive in deep. For magic damage, we have these silver bullets. Will do well against Orion and Stags, and even Treekin, I believe. So I think they're a nice pick. The stealth too means that it'll be harder to snipe them off. So I'm excited for that. Our cavalry is only Empire Knights. And this is because we're not really looking to get into a big fight. We just want to... We just want to be able to dive their backline. So these guys will be fighting the weaker Wood Elf forces while we shoot down the bigger ones. Good luck, have fun to our opponent. And let's see what build he decided to bring. It's looking like a very small army. So it could be a skirmish, it could be more of a boxish style. But definitely, there will be some elite Wood Elf units here. It could be Way Watchers, it could be Stags. But the less infantry they have, the better. And at 700, they could actually have quite a bit of infantry. The Firecaster works too, that's true. If you want it to be sniping out models. I just sort of like Spirit Leech because it's a bit easier to manage. You get the guaranteed damage, which is nice. Let's see. Hammer of the Witches. Decent for the new Unbreakable duo. And Ghostly Stags. I think our Silver Bullets should have a pretty nice time versus them. In fact, I think the Silver Bullets are important enough where we'll actually put them in reserve specifically to kill Orion and the ROR Stags. Stags are basically Santa's reindeer. They seem a lot harder, they seem to hit. They're like a lot chunkier than Santa's reindeer, I'd say. And also, they don't fly, so... Where are my flying stags? Yeah, they're massive. What's it? Still not enough Doom Wheels. Our opponent... We don't want to be waiting on him too long. Yeah, it's a pretty small army to set up. But... okay, there we go. He's ready. So, we'll begin the battle. And let's see what they have decided to bring. Aha! It is a rush army. So, what we're going to do is we're going to begin denying the flank over on this side. And then we're just going to be pivoting so that these guys have to run for longer. And then while these guys run, we can really punish the Dryads that are moving in along this side. So there we go. We're going to continue denying the flank and a little bit of stuttering, but not too much to worry. There are some Glade Rider spears in the distance that need to be worried about, which is why we're pulling off this spear unit to contest them. They try to loop around. We have our cavalry to catch them. And it looks like our flank denial so far is working out pretty well. I'm seeing that there is some cavalry moving in along the side here, which is a bit scary. And and a gap in my lines means that these stag knights could get in. We'll throw down a spirit leech. Nope, not there. A spirit leech on the stag knights. Bring them down a bit lower. And my Empire Knights need to be pulling back to defend this back line. Let's continue shooting at the Stag Knights. And Empire Knights, come on. Pull back. Defend your men. Oh my gosh, we misclicked again. And it looks like those misplays are going to result in a little bit of punishment for me. Our Empire Knights do manage to get a nice counter charge though. And now we're just worried that our front line is collapsing. So to make sure that doesn't happen, we have Boris holding out over there. And as soon as our lines get secured, I think we're fine. Our spears have finally been able to peel for our Empire Knights on the left flank. So we'll be able to move there. And our wizard looks like he's actually getting sniped out. So we controlled him a little bit badly. And oh man, there's some Way Watchers back there too. We are lucky enough that they are close to me. We actually have some free infantry that are able to move in towards them. So they're going to be pushing them back, and hopefully that will be enough to keep our our wizard alive. Really don't want him to rout to shatter, that is, because he has we have so many winds of magic. There we go. So he does come back. Great for us. And we're going to continue trying to chase off those Way Watchers. Let's see. Great Stags can get finished off with a Spirit Leech. And it looks like Boris is going to be dying. He takes a huge hit from the Way Watchers. And what the? I don't have... Oh man, I took off fire at will on my units. So I thought they were shooting the whole game. Turns out they weren't. Huge misplay on my part. Which could lead to game. Boris is down now, which isn't the worst in the world, but losing that leadership definitely is. And it looks like we have that looks like a loss. So GG. And I think we really did misplay there on a few fronts. Oh man, I can't believe I forgot to turn on fire at will. That was rough. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at this game here. Oh man, did my huntsman do enough damage? I was target firing the stags, so they paid for about themselves, but I really misplayed with my lord. Of course, wood elves still have nets available to them, and it's something that you have to pay attention to. We also had these Way Watchers outgunned, but the frontline engagement meant that my archers couldn't really shoot them. My cavalry, we had some misplays against our opponent's cavalry, which sort of sucked. And yeah, losing Boris was rough. Let's get into the game explanation. So we're playing Vampire Coast, we're up against Greenskins, and we're practicing our rush today. We have a Rotting Leviathan, which is really nice for punishing builds that don't prepare for them. You don't want to bring 2 Rotting Leviathans though, since it starts getting risky. Any build that is ready for 1 Rotting Leviathan is usually ready for 2. So you don't need to go overkill there. And everything else, is here for a bunch of different reasons. So Noctilus is nice because he can advance and shoot at the same time. You have a gunnery wight to support him to defend from any greenskin heroes that try to snipe him. Knight Terrors, who will be taking the far left flank and shutting down any infantry that tries to shut down these pistol mobs. And yeah, just a nice big old front line. We even got bombers. They got nerfed in the HP department. They got nerfed in damage. And yeah, they're definitely a lot weaker now. They cost more too. But you know, if you eat a ton of volleys from them, it will still be very punishing. For example, well, before, if you ate one full volley of bomber fire, they would pay for themselves. And nowadays, I think 2 volleys is about what you need. So with this much support, 2 volleys will very likely be possible. With that out of the way, let's get into the game and see what our greenskin opponent has brought for us. They have actually a smaller army than us, which makes me pretty confident that my depth guard will be able to do something here. I'm specifically hoping to see stone trolls, but it looks like instead we see normal trolls and a whole lot of skirmishers. They have a very interesting army indeed. And we're seeing some goblin skirmishers move in now towards my pistol mobs. That is not really a problem at all. Since you can see here, they will trade very well versus skirmishers. And they can't really get dived on. The only downside now is that they have less HP than they would usually. Doom divers are beginning to shoot my gunnery wight, but it doesn't do too much damage. I'm not worried there at all. And soon enough, these trolls should be routing. So we're going to bring in our dogs to try and get some free damage in on them while we can. The reason I've stopped advancing, by the way, is because we actually outgun our opponent here. We're doing more damage than they are with their Doom Diver catapult. He's also advancing towards me piecemeal with a few units at a time, which means that even our pistol units are able to shoot. So he's taking a lot more damage than we are, and he realizes this. So he begins the advance now. So some stone trolls move in. No, not some stone trolls. Normal trolls dive in towards my guns, but they are just zombie pistols. We're not too worried about them taking damage because they're there just to hold down that flank. Meanwhile, the actual center line of our opponent, Orc Boys and Savage Orc Big Guns, move in. But we have a nice matchup there. Our bombers will do especially well, and they won't pose much of a problem at all. Now, what you want to do with Noctilus in situations like this, well, first of all, you want to make sure that he doesn't die to Grimgore. Okay, so that's something to run away from. Oh, what? I thought I pulled away my dogs a while ago. Whoops, so a pretty big misplay there from me. Loses me about 6 winds of magic, but we do just barely get them out in time. Alright, so anyways, about Noctilus strategies, you want to be firing down the length of these units. You can see we did get one shot off, and another one. And by shooting down the length, it gets a lot more damage in, which is nice. Oh wow, my dogs are actually gone. So that's a pretty big shame. And we're gonna have to recover from that. It means that these Doom Diver catapults won't be having much of a problem. Yeah, and they'll just be able to continue and just stick around to their heart's content. Grimgore is continuing to chase Noctilus, which isn't the worst for me. What you can do here is you can run with Noctilus, and as long as you run in the direction of of other infantry, he can just continue to get all the damage that he wants by firing, and the lords chasing him won't be able to do much. Now, I did send my gunnery wight in against Grimgore, and I thought he would hold out a bit longer, but Oh man, that's a pretty big misplay from me. So it looks like we might actually lose the gunnery white. Gonna throw down a heal, try to bring him back up, and thank goodness he just barely lives. So the reason we want the gunnery white alive is because he's my main anti-hero sniper. But all of these heals on individual targets is gonna start hurting. I'm rapidly running out of Winds of Magic. And Noctilus is getting low. Not only that, he's let's see here. Not only that, but Noctilus, oh god, Grimgore. Oh man, he's doing a lot of damage. Yeah, Noctilus is getting really low. And okay, there we go. We managed to get another healing off. But I think Grimgore might be able to just kill this gunnery white outright. Let's see. He does just barely manage to escape. And Noctilus now is going to have to continue running away from Grimgore. So this is why I say Vampire Coast doesn't have a lot of single entity killing power. And it's why Luther Harkin is so good. Luther would be able to fly away from Grimgore and cycle charge him. But instead, I'm almost constantly having to run away. Not an optimal situation, but it does buy time for our actual killers of Grimgore to come in and do some damage. Noctilus 2 has been able to continue running and continue shooting, which helps a lot. And our Leviathan 2 is able to rout off Grimgore. A little bit of a close game here, but without their leadership, I'm thinking the Greenskins should begin collapsing. The single rotting Leviathan has done especially well, and there's basically no AP left to kill it. If the rest of my army crumbled away now, I think the rotting Leviathan would do fine. See, a bit of a misplay here. I actually let my Night Terrors chase the Skirmisher for the whole game, but it doesn't matter too much. Oh my gosh. So, man, close game. Let's see, let's give some ammunition to our rotting Leviathan. Just so that single handgunner on top, you can see he only does 17 damage. And there he is, let's see, perched on top there. Yeah, we're gonna give it ammunition just so that he can do a little bit more damage. Nice, so the Stone Trolls move in, they should be down, and hopefully we hit army losses after the Scab Scrath. It's looking close. The Stone Trolls are out at the very least. And there we go, there's army losses. So we finally pull out a win. The Vampire Coast against the Greenskins. So, we did take the Gunnery White to kill single entities. And he did pay for himself. But against something like Grimgore, he actually didn't hold up too well. If there's a Goblin Big Boss, things could have gone really rough there. And we only just barely got our heals out. Let's see, the Rotting Leviathan, though, did really well, and surprisingly well against Grimgore. While our Depth Guard basically paid for themselves. And our Bombers did slightly less than usual. But that's expected after the nerf. And I think they still did okay. Especially for their price. So a good game for us, and we can move on to the next. So again, to reiterate, for YouTube, we have Carl Franz and a Jade Wizard. Pretty standard combo. Use this guy to support Franz, and Franz to kill single entities. For our front line, we have Spears on the flanks to support the cavalry. They'll be taking the far flanks. And a unit of Great Swords to kill Corsairs. Will be combined with some Sigmar Sons to hold the line. And we have some Silver Bullets to shut down any Malekith. Or really anything. They're a unit of handguns. And anything that isn't infantry will probably be a nice target for them. Slanesh's Harvesters too will take a lot of damage. And I think I'll even put them on the front line and pull them back. They are stealth, which lets us get the jump with their fire. So we're excited to see how well they do. We have Reiksguard and Knights of the Blazing Sun at the request of the viewers today. They just told me to pick them. Apparently they're good in this matchup against the Dark Elves. So we'll see how they go. We also have a cannon just to put a little bit of pressure on. We'll even move it up a tiny bit. And hopefully it'll be able to pick off some cavalry at the start of the game. Fire at will is off on these two. But we will be turning it back on as soon as the fighting gets underway. Good luck, have fun to our opponent, and let's get into the battle. Nice, I see immediately some Cold One Knights for us to shoot. And what are these guys? Just some Dark Riders with shields. So our skirmishers are going to move away from them, dodge some bolt thrower shots just by moving them in the opposite direction that they were heading. And without any skirmishers, these guys have almost free reign. Now, to give our skirmishers a little bit more freedom, we're going to snipe out the bolt thrower with our cannon. Usually, I would suggest you... Usually, I'd suggest that your cannon should be shooting cavalry. But in this case, I really want my skirmishers to be doing well. Now, will the bolt throwers trade up against my cannon? I think it might. I'm not super experienced, but in case it does actually kill my cannons faster than my cannons can kill it, we are going to be advancing with our army. So the Hydra takes quite a few shots. And it actually pulls us into Dark Shard range. We just barely managed to pull away in time, avoiding most of that damage. Let's also get Franz up and close, and continue moving up with our army. Looks like we've taken out one bolt thrower, which is good for our artillery. And it means that we probably won't have to advance very aggressively. Our silver bullets are going to continue moving up. And now that we have these outriders along the back side of the Dark Elf formation, we can start picking away at that cavalry. The Dark Shards do turn to defend their back line. And it looks like a Malekith is moving up to get ready to charge into my troops. So let's see, there are 3 units of Dark Shards that we have to worry about. And they're doing a pretty good job zoning out my troops. One of them, though, gets a little bit hasty. And you know what? We don't have to advance in on this. I've seen now that our cannons have won the fight here. So we're actually going to start pulling back. Let's see, some Dread Spears are moving in to, what's it? To engage my forces, but we can pull back. Our cannon has won the duel against the bolt throwers. Our opponent hasn't advanced yet, which means we can continue with the skirmishing style that we were planning. Malekith is now beginning to advance. He's moving in towards my infantry line, but we have some spear support, and our handgunners will be able to put in some nice damage. Cold One Knights are moving in on the right flank to push back my outriders, but there are 2 of them. And by splitting them up, we can actually put in a lot of damage there. Ooh, a Soul Stealer actually comes down onto my infantry, but we managed to pull the Knights out in time, which keeps them safe. And the bolt throwers are finally out of the battle. So we're going to be trying to micro that at a distance. Which means that we actually, while looking at that, we have a slight misplay over here, allowing Malekith to charge our troops. And we're going to continue keeping an eye on that micro situation in the corner. That is because the Outriders can just kite away these Dark Riders. Yeah, they can kite away the Dark Riders and do a lot of damage. But my micro is being pushed for sure. our Knights of the Blazing Sun have actually taken a bit more damage than I would have liked, or than I would like. So we're going to, let's see, pull them away from Malekith, who's pretty dangerous there. And pull them away from this Death Hag too. Meanwhile, Franz is going to be dealing with some Dark Shards. Some Dark Shards do turn around to engage him, though, or to fire upon him. So we don't want that, and we just got to turn and get Franz out of there. We're also getting some freezing here, but it does mean that we are able to take stock of the situation. So the Hydra is over here, engaged. Oh no, oh man. All right, so it looks like we disconnected. Ah, no, not like this. Not like this. Well, we're still recording, so I guess for YouTube you'll be able to see this. But it does look like my internet has died. This is very rough. But it's looking like about an even game. It could have gone either way. Too bad we won't be able to see it.